Hey, how are you, my friend?
Hey, what's up? How are you?
Nice to see you. I like your
Nice to
view.
see you too. Thank you so much. It's
I,
a it's a green screen. I borrowed it from my friend who works at CNN. It's not real.
No,
It's not real.
I didn't know if I should eat before or wait to eat after. I have a feeling this is going to be very appetite building for me.
For sure. Always eat when you can eat, especially
Uh,
you've got a great kitchen, all those great ingredients I know
I
you're stocked
know.
up on.
I know.
Yeah.
It's funny. I've been going to because I was sick and I have antibodies and I'm negative. I'm kind of the food shopper now, and I'm out
Oh,
on
cool.
Long Island and I'm going to King Cullen. I'm going to Citarella. I'm seeing really the full spectrum. And it's funny. Fresh produce is actually pretty easy to get. What's difficult to get, not that I'm looking so much for it, is like all the packaged food, these like quote unquote comfort foods, and it's making me worry about how people are eating at home. I don't know. Have you been out to shop at all?
Of course, I've been out to shop, and I've also still got access to all of my wholesale purveyors.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty aware of what's going on. There's some shortages. There's some, some foods that are still in surplus, and we have plenty of. But there's about to be, an interruption in the meat supply. So we're going to probably see a little shortage of
Yeah.
chicken, fresh chicken, and beef soon. I know my meat purveyor, Pat LaFredo, the biggest in the
Yeah, yeah,
nation,
yeah. Yeah, I
they
know
say
Pat.
he's having a hard time getting certain cuts. So, but you're out there with some of the best stores, in
Yeah.
North America. So you're
Yeah.
very spoiled out there. But yeah, getting
A-
fresh produce is easy, and it's what you should be eating.
I
That is
know, I
the
know.
that is the key, right?
There's like a run on avocados. I'm like literally
Of
reading
course, of course.
that.
Yeah,
No, seriously, like everyone's eating avocados, and I have to tell you, it's not easy getting good ones. You have to like let them sit for a while. But the prices are up also. I actually read something in the news about this, that avocados are becoming like the hot food right now. But I'm more
yeah,
concerned about
yeah.
all the baking that's going on, and I'm more concerned about all the packaged food. I think in theory, all of us are talking about eating better, but a lot of us we're just plain sitting at home, and we know what happens when we do that. We carve it out.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think this is a time where people are going to indulge, right? They're
yeah,
going to learn how to make the perfect Negroni. They're going to
yeah,
bake a lot of chocolate chip cookies, and there's
you're gonna
nothing wrong
drink.
with that, right? A little bit,
No,
yeah, yeah. The perfect Negroni, the perfect chocolate chip cookie,
yeah,
the perfect pound cake, the roast beef. It's okay. These are stressful times, and food can be very comforting. But
yeah,
these are also times where you have to protect your immunity and be as healthy as you can possibly be. And the way to
yeah.
do that, unfortunately, and I write about this in my books, and I don't want to sound preachy right now, but
No,
you want to
please
stay
do.
away from dairy, you want to stay
Yeah,
away from red meat, you
yeah,
want to not eat any processed foods, you want to eat as much fresh food as possible, and that's just hard to do, especially
yeah.
when you can't even find half the stuff.
I
I know there are
know.
people who can't find eggs right now.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, eggs
Huh.
apparently are hard to find at the moment. I did a
Wh-
carbonara demo, and
Oh,
everyone said
really?
I'd love to do that dish, but we can't find eggs anywhere. So
What are you
yeah.
cooking these days? What have you been doing at
So
home in terms of food?
so I've been doing a lot of live demos. There are a lot of people who need instruction. Uh, like you talked about in another episode of your IG live, you got into cooking late. Some people
Yeah,
never got into cooking,
I know.
and
If I
can't
can do it, we could all do it.
for sure. And burn salad, and
Yeah,
people, if you're one of those people that burn salad, this is probably a good time to learn a few basic cooking skills.
yeah,
Because listen, when you cook, you regain control of what you put in your body. You're now in full possession of all the molecules that make you strong and
yeah,
healthy, and you're no longer allowing big corporations decide the fate of your health.
yeah.
You're also doing for your family the most loving thing a person can do is feed them,
That's it.
right?
That's
Isn't
it.
isn't that a wonderful feeling?
I mean, that's why I started cooking. I converted from like the college days of like throwing keg parties, and then all of a sudden I'm like, well, I don't really drink much anymore, but I still like to entertain. So, I do have an Italian mother, and I watched, and I got some pointers, and I was always the eater, not the cooker. But I don't know, it just starts to happen. And I think it's going to be important for people to pick up the skills. The trick
For
is
sure.
people have to realize that it could be fun. It doesn't have to be a chore, and it's a
Yeah.
social thing. Like I had a
Yeah.
wife, I got married, I had kids, so it's something that we
Right.
all do together. And I think if you turn it into like a social event, it doesn't have to be like a chore that you have to do at the end of the day. And I mean, please, I mean, you've written so many books about so many different ways of eating. I mean, now your last book is about keto, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
so my last book is celebrating the art of eating lots of fat, lots of protein, and no carbs, which
now
can
you
be
call it
very difficult at times.
you call
Yeah,
it keto comfort food, right?
I do. Yeah.
So
So what I thought would be
give me your
interesting,
definition.
yeah, I thought it'd be interesting. Take everyone's top 10 lists of favorite foods. You know, your favorite Italian foods, American foods, Chinese foods, Indian, Asian, all of them, and compile all those recipes and turn them all into keto versions,
Yeah,
meaning that less than 10% of the calories come from carbs. So
right.
that's almost no carbs in
Yeah,
each of these recipes.
yeah,
So
yeah.
in the keto world, you want 60 to 70% of your calories to come from fat, 20 to 30 to come from protein, and about 10% to come from carbs. Now, when I say
Right.
carbs, we need to make this distinction because people are still confused about carbs. There are good carbs and there are bad carbs. And I
Absolutely.
submit we should change the name of the good carbs to something better
Yeah,
because
yeah.
people are confused. What's a good carb? What's a bad carb? And they say, hey, but you've got vegetables and tomatoes and cucumbers. Aren't those all carbs in your
Yeah, yeah,
book?
yeah.
And I said, yeah, but those are good carbs. They're not going to have any sugar impact, any
Yeah.
insulin. They're not going to affect the way your body metabolizes
Yeah,
sugar
yeah,
and
yeah.
produces insulin. So that's the
Absolutely.
key to keto.
Right, right.
So the book is full of good carbs, but has none of the processed junk carbs that we almost all of us are addicted to
Yeah.
in the current state of affairs in America. Everyone's addicted to junk carbs, right? We
Of
all eat
course. Of
chips
course.
and dips and things out of bags and
Yeah.
hot
Yeah.
pockets and you name it,
Yeah.
right? So
Now,
the
do you
so
think
the
it, in your book, do you talk about is this a sustainable type of diet? Like is this something like
yeah.
a lifestyle type of thing? Because there's a lot of talk in the metabolic nutritional world about like if you have 0% carbs, it's not good. What is your chef take on all that?
So when I hear that, I say, show me someone who can achieve 0% carbs. First of all,
I
no
know,
one is
right?
going to ever eat 0% carbs, right? Did you know that most men get the majority of their calories from alcohol?
Yes, I did, and
So
I would have guessed that, which is why I
yeah,
don't
and I'm
drink
one of
much
them.
anymore.
I am one of them. You don't?
Yeah,
Okay, good.
yeah.
No wonder you look so good.
Yeah, no, I
So
used to drink a lot more, but now I just
yeah,
do it very
yeah,
sparingly. And I find it's
right.
true of aging too. Men, it's like the one last thing that they can give up. They don't realize it's aging their skin. So go on.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And as you always say, you're healthy from the inside out, right? You have
Yeah,
to take care of your inner health before your skin will reflect
absolutely.
everything that's going on inside your body. Your
Yeah,
last episode was all about gut health. I've written about gut health
yeah.
ad nauseum. If you're
I
if you're
know.
not taking probiotics and killing the candida in your system, your skin will never look as flawless as yours does.
Yeah. I got a ring light and good makeup artist, so it's fine.
That's good. That's good. The ring light industry must be doing really well right now. I
Oh
have a
my
feeling everyone
God.
has ring lights. Yeah.
I mean, the whole world
So
is on Instagram Live, right?
exactly. So to answer your question, keto can definitely be a lifestyle. It's something that you can maintain for a very long time, as long as you include a lot of plant-based foods, which I do in this book. And in
Yeah.
my next book, I'm going to be writing about a plant-based keto,
Oh,
completely plant-based keto lifestyle. So you
that
can do
sounds
keto without
wow.
eating meat, believe it or not, right? Because the calories just have to come from fat. It
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily mean it has to be animal fat.
I
And in
bet you
most
there's a lot
cases,
of
it's better if it
avocado.
isn't.
A lot of
Yes, there is
avocado.
a lot of avocado, a lot of coconut,
Yeah. If I'm gonna
a
go
lot of
keto,
olive
man,
oil.
if I'm gonna go keto, I'm gonna want some meat. I gotta tell you. But there are
Yeah,
a
yeah.
lot of
Well,
people. There are a lot of people who don't want to.
that's the reward with keto, right? That you
Yeah.
can eat a lot of the foods that are usually considered very indulgent, but your body will burn the fat. So if you're eating eggs, bacon, steak, lobster, cream sauces, butter, and you're keeping your carbs to less than 20 grams a day, your body
Yeah.
will burn the fat and burn it like crazy. It will feel like there's an abundance of fat. We don't need our fat stores. Burn fat like crazy. Jettison all the
Yeah.
fat, and it really works. You just have to stay in that 20 to 30 grams a day, because if you ever
Yeah.
miss it a day, it comes back. All the weight that you lose generally comes back pretty quickly if
What do
you
you
miss a
think?
day or if you
What do you
yeah.
think about? Have you ever written about like intermittent fasting and what
Yes,
time
yes,
of day
of
you
course.
eat your
Yes, yes,
things?
yes.
Give
Yeah,
me your
so
opinion about all this.
in the Keto Comfort Diet, the book that I just wrote, which launched right in the middle of this whole Corona thing, by the
Yeah,
way,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I include intermittent fasting. I've written about metabolic fasting in lots of previous books, which is many small meals frequently, and intermittent fasting. I ask you to eat for 12 hours and then stop eating for 12 hours.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
does
yeah.
help accentuate the keto experience. So if your body feels a little bit of hunger, and you're eating a lot of fat, that combination will exponentially increase your body's fat burning capability. So intermittent fasting is definitely a great thing to do on its own. It does work. You can do the eat one day, fast one day, intermittent fasting, or fast 2 days. Just do a water fast for a day. There are lots of
ways to
types of intermittent. And it all works. It all works. Now, when you combine keto with intermittent, it works really, really well. It's very, very powerful.
That's what I would have think. I know I find as I get older, what time I eat absolutely affects the quality of the food that goes in my body.
For sure.
It's funny. Before I forget this question, because you're not only someone who's very prolific as an author, but you've worked in some of the best restaurants. You are some of the best restaurants in the world. I'm curious to get your take. Obviously, our dining experiences are going to change. I mean, one day we're all going to be going out to dinner to restaurants again, but the spatial orientation will also affect things like in the kitchen, how things are served. It may affect the quality of the type of food that is served as well. Do you have any kind of perspective on
so this is something that we're all talking about all the time. Yeah. All the chefs we're getting together in formal groups, informal groups, talking about the restaurant space, of course, how it's going to change, what kind of support we're going to need to get back up and running, because it's going to take a lot of support from friends, family, government, because restaurants will not recover from this without a tremendous amount of support. There's a group called the Independent Restaurant Council. If anybody's interested in helping out, or if you'd like to eat in a restaurant again, it might be in your best interest to help out these groups. ROAR, IRC, these are groups that are trying to help chefs get back on their feet. I don't know if you read Gabrielle Hamilton's essay in the Times about reopening Prune, but it really speaks for all of it. I mean, she so accurately spoke for most of us, and it's exactly how we feel. What she described as the frustration of running a restaurant in New York City, and then adding this to it, it just makes you wonder if it's even worth trying to rebuild again. And I think a lot of chefs are wondering if it's worth it. And I think we're going to see 20% loss of restaurants, probably 20% of the restaurants that you knew and loved probably won't even attempt to reopen.
Absolutely.
And the new dining experience is going to be wild. You're right. There's going to be masks, gloves, disposable, not only menus, there might be disposable flatware, there might be disposable china, there might be disposable drinkware. I mean, the whole thing is going to be very, very different. So, and that it's going to take a while. This is going to be a 1 to 3 year rebuild. This is not going to happen overnight.
Yeah.
So I think restaurants have it they have their work cut out for them. What about your work? I mean, you're very much like a restaurant in that it's
it's service oriented.
Person.
It's service oriented. And you know what? Even though people are clamoring to come in and see me and do all these things, it's going to be a different pace. It's going to be a new normal. And if I'm working at half the pace and busy, well, that's still half as busy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like if a restaurant is half as busy, that's like not great, right? Even if it looks full, but like I said.
And think about this, Dr. Can I call you doctor, or should I?
No, just call me Paul. Just call me Paul.
Okay.
Long enough, Rocco.
Think about this. Think about this. Your capacity is not going to be determined by the government like ours is. Our capacity is literally legislated. Think about that. They're telling us you're allowed 25% of your former capacity. So there's not. I mean, you can probably think of a few ways to increase your rate of doing business and maybe expand and hire a few more doctors, but we're not even allowed to use our full capacity. And I imagine full capacity won't happen for, I don't know, 9 to 12 months.
Well,
I think people are going to be cooking at home, to your original point, and they probably should get a good cutting board, a good chef's knife, probably get a good peeler, a couple of good basic tools, because those make a big difference.
What's the resource from that? Where should people, again, when you're starting out, give us some tips on starting out.
So obviously Amazon is great. Amazon has all these things, but I like a place in New York called JB Prints. It's where all the chefs shop. It's literally the chef's equipment store, JB Prints. Yeah. It's in Midtown, and they have the best of everything. So whatever you need, they will have the best in class example. Yeah. So cutting boards, what I recommend for cutting boards are the thick natural rubber ones, about 1 inch thick. If you can spare, it's a little more expensive. They're about $80 for a 1 inch thick one. A half inch thick is about $40. They'll outlive us both. A Japanese knife from a place called Korin in Tribeca. They sell the best cutlery. Kun Recon makes great paring knives and peelers, and those you can get on Amazon for anywhere from $5 to $12 each.
You got to have a Rocco kit. A Rocco kit. You know,
I do. I have published that kit before, and I've posted pictures. I'll do it again. Actually, it's a great idea because people really don't know what to get. And I'm getting a lot of questions from friends and family now who are saying, "I'm cooking at home. What should I get? What cutting board? What knife?" And then when they get these things, it makes a massive difference. I know you're pretty well stocked up when it comes to equipment, right? You took that pretty seriously.
Yeah, I do. You know, that's fortunately my wife and I like to cook, and she's really good at that. You know, the reason I started to cook, I like simple foods, but what draws me to it, obviously, because of what I do, I'm a very visual person. I like simple foods, beautiful presentations. You know, I love color, peppers, onions. I'm Italian. You know, I like a lot of fresh vegetables, good quality meats. I was like so intimidated at first, and I was like, not that cooking is easy, but you don't need complicated cooking to make beautiful food that tastes great. You know what I'm saying?
You really don't.
You really don't. I mean, listen,
Yeah.
it takes skill to make a great grilled cheese sandwich, but when that grilled cheese sandwich is good, man, it's the best thing in the world. I got to tell you a story. When I was recovering, I was sick for a solid 14, 15 days. And one of the first few days that I broke a fever, and I just started getting appetite back, and I was able to breathe like I'm alive again. My father, who I haven't seen because he's kind of is sheltered in place himself, he went down to Katz's Deli, and he got me a pastrami sandwich, okay, with some coleslaw and a knish. And Rocco, I got to tell you, in honesty, it was probably the best meal I ever had in my life for so many combinations of reasons. And that place has been churning it out for as long as I can remember. And it didn't look that complicated. But you know, that pastrami on the rye and the pickle.
Of course, it's the best. Yeah.
You know,
you can really you can really comfort people with food. And a lot of the things that you can do while sheltering in place and social distancing is giving the gift of food. So my neighbors and I are exchanging things. You know, sometimes it's wine, sometimes it's food, and it's a lot of fun. We're comparing steaks and comparing ingredients and comparing wines, and food really brings people together, even when you have to be apart, just like your dad did for you.
Absolutely.
Right? Did he hand deliver, or did he mail it to you?
He dropped it off at the door. He dropped it off at the door. If you had to say, because I know you've authored so many books, for a beginner out there, what would be the book that you've written that you would say would be like the first go-to for somebody?
So we have to break down two categories: conventional or health-related.
How about one of each?
Okay, so
how about one of each?
For conventional, my first book is called Flavor. It explains the science of combining flavors and cooking, and how the chemistry of smell and taste work. And it explains how there are 4 basic flavors: sour, salt, sweet, bitter. And every dish is a combination of those 4 flavors. And it explains how chefs try to create tension and resolution with their dishes to create excitement on the palate. So it's like a real chefy book. And if you're into that's the perfect book to get. If you're into something that balances cooking comfort foods and health, my first healthy book was called Now Eat This. And that one is super accessible. It's like chicken fingers and mac and cheese and that kind of thing. That book is super simple, and I think it's like $8 now on Amazon. That would be.
I like that one. I'm ready for that.
And of course, this one would be good. The last one I wrote, the keto comfort would be great as well. A lot of people understand what keto is.
I keep waiting for questions. I'm reading down here, and all I hear about is how sexy you are. What's going on, man? Your audience is, you got a pretty good audience.
Questions. Tim Cronk
what happened to me? Come on, I'm the cosmetic surgeon here. Come on. You did great. You got a lot of good fans on there.
Tim Cronk is a client by far. He got the book, and he started the diet, and he DM'd me, and I often respond and give people advice, and he lost a lot of weight, and he's listening now. So thank you, Tim, for being a supporter, and thank you for showing up. So you should tell everybody about your weight loss journey. You did pretty well. If you're still there, but Rocco's Real Life Recipe is the one that he liked. He was just suggesting that.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dawn Michelle.
Were you always into? I mean, in the earlier part of your career, were you as concerned with like dietary weight management type stuff? Is this thing that came about over time? I mean, I've obviously known you for most of your career. You're very scientific about a lot of the stuff that you do. How has it changed over the years for you?
So I've always been interested in big flavors, being very experimental with cooking
Yeah.
techniques, with ingredients, taking people on a bit of a ride, being out on a limb, always
Yes,
willing
yes,
to
of course.
take risks, right, with my cooking. And then about 38 years old, I had a come to Jesus moment with a doctor who said, dude, you got to change things because you're not heading, you're doing,
Yeah,
X, Y, Z. When you extrapolate that out 20 years,
yeah, yeah,
you're going to have heart disease for sure. So, and then he prescribed me a bunch of medicines, with terrible side effects.
yeah.
And then he said, by the way, you could just exercise and change your diet, and all this will go away.
You're like, I'm a
And
chef.
he said, right, yeah. He said, I tell this to everyone, and no one listens, but everyone can fix these problems because they're all lifestyle related. They're completely reversible. So I said, you know what? Let me try that because I didn't like the 3 medicines he was going to give me. I didn't like
Yeah,
the side effects,
yeah.
and some of those side effects are pretty strange. It's pretty odd to me that people will choose impotence, for example, as a perfectly acceptable side
Yeah.
effect,
Oh, yeah.
versus eating a
I
little
know.
bit more of a plant-based diet
I
and
know.
doing a little bit of exercise. Some of these things that we're willing to accept
I know.
uh, from the medicines we take is just outrageous. The bar,
This is
it's
like
a,
in my
it's a,
world too. I actually turn
yeah.
people away for certain things. I tell people, people come to me.
You don't need it. Yeah, yeah,
I perform liposuction in my practice, but I always tell people I'm the last 5 to 10 pounds. I ain't the first. And I'm like, you got to
right,
go lose some
right,
weight first. I mean, I
right,
can't.
exactly.
I have to. I'm the icing on the cake of life. You know what I mean?
You're the
You have to
fine
take
tuner, right? Yeah,
Yeah, you have to take care of yourself because it all starts from within, whether you're in cosmetic surgery or cardiology or you're a
yeah,
chef. You want to be around a
yeah,
long
yeah.
time. And people want quick fixes. That's what they want.
Of
You know what I
course,
mean?
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
the keto diet's good for the quick fix people because it
Yeah.
does work very fast.
Yeah.
You can lose 3 pounds day one, day two,
Wow.
10
Yeah.
pounds in 5 days very easily if you're following the plan exactly to the letter. If your compliance is 90% above, you'll get a quick fix.
Yeah.
The Atkins diet was invented by a cardiac surgeon
Yeah.
who
Yeah. I know.
wanted
Yeah.
to, yeah, we all know the story of Dr.
Yeah.
Atkins who
Yeah.
created this diet to help his clients prepare for surgery. The first thing he said was lose some weight and then I'll perform surgery on you, and here's the way to do it. And of
Yeah.
course, it turned into this this craze that is now called keto, which is
So you
slightly
never
different
went on the
than
medicine.
Dr. Atkins.
So
No, I
you
never
were able
did.
to
I
do.
never did.
That's
No,
great.
and a year later, I went back to him, and this is after doing several triathlons and getting my first book in, my first healthy book in. And I remember him saying, clear as day, you've changed inside out. You have the body of an 18-year-old. Your brain, your emotional age is still about 15, but at least your body's in good shape. I don't know what you did, but I want to tell all my clients to do the same. And I said, I just listened to you. I did what you told me to do. Change my lifestyle, exercise more, eat a little less, cut drinking a lot, cut all the sugar and the creaky chicken from the Chinese takeout place 4 nights a week. And it worked. It worked.
Yeah.
All that stuff really works. I mean, you're obviously a living example yourself,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, listen,
You're
and I love
eating
all
well,
those
you're
things.
working out,
Yeah.
and
I
I've never
like.
seen you look better.
And I like to indulge too. I just find, you enjoy the sweet if you discipline yourself. I drink only on the weekends. I generally graze throughout the day, and I have one big delicious meal each day. And I keep moving. That's basically how I do it. And then of course a lot of Botox and filler and laser. But
Yeah, yeah,
that's a
yeah.
whole other
No, you don't
conversation.
do that to yourself, do you?
No, no.
Oh, come on. Yeah.
I'm in my house practicing all month. You're practicing new recipes, and I'm practicing new ways to beautify people because they're ready to knock down my door here. And I'm sure they're going to be ready when this all calms down. They're going to be ready to knock down your door at the restaurant too. Because you know what? It's part of the social construct of life, eating out. And I know it's not going to be easy, but I have faith that whatever new level of normal is, people are going to want to see you in the kitchen, not just reading you in the book. You know what I'm saying?
That's
So,
very nice of you. That's very nice of you. I think, barring some sort of health passport, that
Yeah.
makes us that claims we have had the disease and we're all better. I'm not so sure people are going to be banging down the doors, but I think people are going to be a little careful for a while, and
They
that's
will
part of
be.
what we're concerned about in the restaurant business. That the
Yeah.
capacity will be reduced simply because people are going to be very cautious, and
Yeah.
they're going to be cooking a lot more at home. I also think there's going to be sort of a new product out there that's probably an enhanced dine-in service, an enhanced delivery service,
Like
where
a
you
new
can
niche.
have a
A
restaurant
niche.
experience at home. I
Oh, yeah.
think that's going to happen. I'm working on something like that myself. I
Yeah.
don't know if you know, but I do have a food delivery service.
Yes. Yes. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So I have a food delivery service that helps people, reverse lifestyle-related diseases. And if you go to Rocco.shop, you can see all the products I sell, and
Absolutely.
from the protein powders to the protein bars, all meant to help you, indulge with delicious food, but keep your
Yeah.
weight
Yeah.
loss goals. So I'm going to enhance that and make it a little bit broader so that people can have a fresh meal experience at home without cooking from scratch. Because that's what I think people are going to be afraid of when they're back at work and not forced to stay home and don't have all this sort of quote extra time. Because it's nice to have the time, right?
Oh my
When
God.
you're cooking,
It
not
is.
be under stress.
Now that I'm healthy, I'm enjoying a lot of different things. Don't get me wrong, I'm ready to go back to work, but I feel that I have no choice. I have to focus on the cans, not the can-nots. That's what I keep saying to everybody. And I do know, because I speak to so many different people in so many different industries, including you right now, and clearly everyone's going to have their challenges. But fortunately, I know a lot of people like you that are innovators that know how to adapt, and you'll dodge and you'll weave, and something new has to be invented. And look, you're already in the middle of so I think that someone's got to lead the change, and I expect us both to be doing some of that.
Yeah, hopefully we'll figure out just what that is. It's definitely going to be a lot of trial and error, and people still need to eat, right? And people still want to look beautiful. So there'll always be something for us. But I agree, it's going to be a lot of adaptation. It's just like every big event that New Yorkers have to, sustain, right? We always figure out a way to come back stronger and better than ever. This is going to be a little bit of an extended period.
Oh, yes.
Because the one thing we always do is we rush to the scene, right? We rally around people, we gather, we form groups. We can't do that this time. This time we have to stay apart. So that the secret weapon that New Yorkers have, that willingness to rush out to the scene and help, offer whatever help you can, we just can't do. So we're gonna have to figure out different ways to get to that goal. But I agree with you. There's going to be demand, and we're going to figure it out. But for people who are thinking, hey, I like this lifestyle, I'm going to keep cooking at home 3-4 nights a week, I couldn't encourage you more. I'd say it's probably the best decision you'll ever make. You'll save money, because restaurant food, even the inexpensive restaurant food, is more expensive than cooking at home. You'll have control over what goes in your body and the body of your family, the people you love and cherish the most. And I agree with you. It's a lot of fun, especially if you have kids who are, teens or preteen. They love to help in the kitchen.
Especially when
there's
there's
you
dessert.
can do with your family.
Yeah, especially for dessert.
For sure.
All right,
I have a recipe in this book that I want you to try. It's chocolate avocado mousse. See if your family wants to get involved in making that. Yeah.
I'm on it.
It's really good.
Avocados
really
and chocolate sound good to me. All right, man.
It's delicious.
Listen, I really want to thank you for joining in. Unfortunately, it's during these times I haven't seen you for a while. I hope I get to see you soon. I hope I get some of your cuisine even more. So
we'll have to make that happen for sure.
All right. Thanks for joining, buddy. Goodbye, everybody.
My pleasure. Take care. Bye, everybody. Thank you.